So as we all know, devices around our house have been easier and easier to connect to our home automation systems with new innovations coming out. Need to automate something connected to a switch, just replace it with a smart switch, a light bulb, etc. One of the things that haven't been quite as easy to control are ceiling fans, for example. You can add a smart switch to the fan, but that'll only allow it to turn on the light or turn on the fan itself, however you have it set. But I think this product is a pretty good fix for that exact scenario. Let's check it out. The product I was referring to is this. It's called the Bond. It uses infrared and radio frequency to speak to your devices. Now right on front of the box it says works with ceiling fans. It's supported by IFTTT, Alexa, and Google Assistant. And it's available on Android and iOS. Now, you may be thinking this is very similar to maybe the Harmony Hub, for example, or the Broadlink RM Pro. Now, I have the Harmony Hub, and that one's infrared only, so the Harmony Hub won't work for radio frequency ceiling fans, which is how most of them work. And the Broadlink RM Pro I actually don't own. I've seen mixed reviews on it, so I was kind of skeptical of picking one up. Let me know in the comments down below if the Broadlink does work just as well as this, but the reviews on this is actually really good. It's like 4.5 out of 5 on Amazon with a lot of reviews. The user interface from what I've seen online so far, the app seems pretty polished, not so much with the Broadlink RM Pro from what I've seen. So let's get this thing unboxed, hooked up with IFTTT and Google Assistant, and through IFTTT we'll be able to control it through SmartThings, or we can just use or Google Assistant as is. Now the only downside about this is you do need a ceiling fan or appliance that has a remote. Now I only have one ceiling fan in my house that does use a remote to control it via radio frequency, and if you have multiple in your house, you're able to change the frequency on your remote and its receiver in the fan itself so they don't accidentally interact with each other. So this will work with all the radio frequency devices in your house using only one hub. You don't need one for each room like the Harmony Hub using infrared, for example. Get set up. Okay. So we have a micro USB cable to USB type a wall wart, and the device itself. Pretty simple. So this basically just says plug it in, wait for the flashing green on the device, download the Bond app, and it's pretty simple from there. Alright, so there's the green flashing light. From there, I'll just go ahead and download the Bond app and take it from there. Alright, so I'll head into the App Store and search for Bond. Bond, smarten your ceiling fan. I assume that's it. Alright, so it prompts me to create an account real quick. Alright, so I'll click the plus button in the top left corner. Device my location, blah blah blah. So it's scanning for the Bond Wi-Fi networks. I'm assuming this green light is broadcasting the Wi-Fi network. There it is, Bond config. And I will connect to my Wi-Fi. It looks like it will only work on 2.4 gigahertz, which is common for these types of devices. So now it needs to do a quick update. It says it'll take about 3 to 5 minutes. Alright, so it's done updating. It took about 3 minutes, just like it said it would. I will go to edit and change the location to living room. I think that's where it's going to live. Now it looks like you can change the light brightness of this ring, I assume. Yeah. That's pretty cool. I'll leave it at about 50%. And from there I'll go ahead and try to add a device. So the box said it works with ceiling fans, and their website said other devices are coming soon, but it looks like they've added air conditioners and electric fireplaces in beta, and all these other devices coming soon. One thing I don't see on this list that they mentioned also was garage door openers. Those use radio frequency, so I could see that coming in good use. And all these other devices as well in the future. So I'll just click ceiling fan because that's what I have right now. And it says select a function that matches your real remote control function. So here's my ceiling fan remote. It's got a low, medium, high, and light level. And when you push and hold the light bulb button, it dims it. So I'll click power. I guess, because it has a power button. Place the remote control close to the bond within 2 feet. Next. Wait for the blonde's blue light to start flashing, and press and hold. Release as soon as it turns green. There we go. Alright, so it says select the appropriate options for your remote control. Mine's a 3-speed. Click that. And just like that, it looks like it found it. Apparently my remote is programmed now. It's got more options in the app than my actual remote control. And now it wants me to go ahead and test it to see if it works. I'm curious to see if these extra buttons actually work because it doesn't even have that on the remote. So let's go in the living room and test this out. Alright, let's go ahead and test out speed 1. Nice. Let's try speed 2. I heard it click. I don't know if you're able to hear that, but I can hear the controller in there clicking. Speed 3. Yep, I heard it right away again. And let's try the first light. There we go. I wonder what the second light does. Let's try that. Looks like it just turned it off. Let's try a dimmer. Nothing. Let's try the other dimmer. Nothing. Maybe that's a different kind of function. We'll find out later on. Now let's try reverse. So it seemed like dimmer took a late reaction. I'm not sure if that's any more dim. Let me try the light again. Oh, that just turned it off. Oh, that's about the same brightness. So the dimmer didn't do anything. Let's see if that changes later on. And now let's try the reverse. Okay, so just testing out this interface. It seems like everything's working except the reverse. There's 2 lights for some reason. They're both working, and the dimmer is acting weird. It's like coming on late. But this is just a test, so let's go ahead and say this is your remote. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention is that I left the bond in the basement, which is pretty much directly underneath us, just to test the range with the radio frequency. And it seemed like it's not having any issues at all. So it should reach at every room of your house if you have multiple radio frequency devices. Like I said, infrared will only work line of sight just like any other infrared controller, just like a remote control. It's only going to work if it's in that same room. Alright, so after the device saves, I'm just going to jump into settings and change the name to living room fan. Oops. Living room fan. Go back. And let's test this out one more time. So we've got speed 1. There it goes. Speed 2. I heard it click. 3. Good to go. And reverse is not working, I don't think. It's doing something weird with it. It's sending some kind of radio signal that it's not liking. I can hear it clicking on and off. So I'm just going to go to edit and actually I'm going to take reverse off because my controller doesn't even support that. Click done. Actually going to turn the fan off because it's probably kind of noisy. Now there's 2 lights. The first one, they both work, so I'm going to take one of those off also. And same with the dimmers. There's 2 dimmers for some reason. Only the first one was working. And what it's doing is actually dimming it to maybe around 40-50% if I had to guess. So this is regular light. And I can just press that again to turn it off. And this is dimmer. So that's, I don't know, I would guess around 50%. So there's no way to change the dimness to a certain level. It just either 50% or full brightness. Now with the actual remote, I can push and hold the light bulb image and that will change the brightness to whatever you want. So that's about the only thing that the app can't do that the remote can do that I've seen so far. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this connected to our Amazon Echo. So there's just a skill. We'll hop into the Alexa app here, go to skills, search for Bond Home. We'll enable that and enter the credentials for that account. Successfully linked, and then we'll discover devices. Okay, so it said it found 2 devices. Scroll down to living room. So we've got living room fan and living room light, it looks like. So let's try to switch it in the app. That turned it on. It looks like you can maybe set the percentage. Yeah, so just dragging this bar down here actually changes the fan speed. So I'm assuming somewhere around 1/3 will be low, somewhere around the middle will be medium, and all the way 100% would be full speed. So you would have to say that when you talk to it. So let's check out the light real quick. So we also have something called living room light, which is interesting because I called it living room fan in the Bond app, but I guess it knew to switch that to living room light, so that's pretty cool. So let's try this. There we go. Looks like that's full brightness. I don't see a way to change the brightness in here. So let's try with so turn off living room fan. There we go, it just turned off. So turn on living room light. There we go. So turn on living room light 50%. Yeah, I had a feeling that wouldn't work because it doesn't show that in the app. So turn on living room fan 50%. Just heard it turn on. And it seems to be around that mid-range. So turn on living room fan 20%. I just heard it click and it is going a little bit slower now. Yeah, so you would have to input the percentage into Alexa rather than high, medium, or low. So it seems to be working pretty good. It's super responsive. Like I said, the actual device is in the basement. It's not up here yet, so that range is no issue. Turn off living room light. Good to go. Now let's hook it up with IFT. Alright, so the Alexa integration seems to be working well. Let's go ahead and get it connected to IFT. So I'm in IFT here. I'm going to search for Bond. There we go. Connect. And I will log in. Alright, so it's connected. It's as simple as that. From here we can use some of these examples. I have a Nest thermostat connected to IFT as well. So you can, for example, activate your fan when Nest says the room is too hot. Turn on the ceiling fan when SmartThings detects your presence. On and on, there's all kinds of things you can do. Another thing is set up a SmartThings simulated switch using a virtual switch. And then we can create an applet using that virtual switch to turn on the light or fan. We can create 2 different virtual switches when that switch in SmartThings is turned on and use it with any of your other automations. So let's go ahead and set that up real quick. Why not? So I will jump over to SmartThings. You can actually create virtual devices straight in the app now. Just head over to Marketplace, Smart Apps, down at the bottom, click More, and then scroll down again, Virtual Device Creator. You used to have to go into the SmartThings IDE to do this, but you don't have to anymore. So in SmartThings, which type of virtual device do you want to create? We'll just do a virtual switch, and we'll enter the name living room fan. Save, just like that. And now I'm going to do the same thing again and call it living room light. So once again, go to More, Virtual Device Creator, Virtual Switch, and I'm going to call this one living room light. Save. And now let's hop into things just to make sure they're there. There we go, living room fan and living room light as virtual devices. Now before we head over to IFT, make sure you authorize these new switches. Living room fan and light. There we go. Save it. Jump back over to IFT and create a new applet. So we'll say if this, which will be our SmartThings simulated switch we just created, switched on, and we'll find living room fan. Okay, then find bond, turn on device, and that will be living room fan, and finish. So there we go. If living room fan switches on in SmartThings, then turn on the living room fan. Now this is running through IFT obviously, so there may be a little bit of latency. We'll check that in just a minute. But what this allows you to do is run any kind of automation in SmartThings and control the bond theoretically through IFT. Now we'll also make one more applet. We'll do the same thing. If SmartThings switched on, living room light, then find bond, turn on device, living room fan light. It's as simple as that. And then what you can do is create two more applets. If that switch turns off, then turn off the fan and or light. So let's go run back upstairs and test this with SmartThings in the SmartThings app just to see if we can go ahead and control it that way. Okay, so here's the SmartThings test going through IFT to bond. Here's living room fan. This is our virtual switch. There we go. Took about 2 seconds. That's normal for going through IFT, not a big deal. So now let's test the off. Just turned off. Now let's try the light. There we go, that took about 3 seconds. Once again, it's going through IFT, it's going through the cloud. And we'll try off. There we go. Awesome. So we got this working with SmartThings through IFT. We've got this working with Alexa. Google Home is also an option if that's your thing. Awesome. Alright guys, so there you have it. This little device actually works pretty well. And if I had more ceiling fans with remotes in my house, I could see this being even more practical given the fact that you only need one device per all of your ceiling fans, as long as they're running off radio frequency. Now if you're not sure if your device runs on infrared or radio frequency, check your remote and see if there's a little infrared blaster like standard remotes have. If there's not, it's probably radio frequency. Another way you can check is if you pop off the back cover here, you can see little switches to change that frequency so it doesn't interfere with other devices in your house. And a final way you could test is by just simply going into another room far away from that device and seeing if you can still control the fan. So we've got this working with SmartThings through IFT, and it seems to be working quite well that way. We've got it working with Alexa, and of course you're also able to have it working with Google Assistant. I just didn't set that up because it's basically the same thing as Alexa, as you know. So the only downside I see about this is the fact that it's going for around $99. Hopefully that price drops a little bit. I'll leave a link down below so you can check the current prices as well. You know, on the positive side, the reviews are great. The app is pretty simple. It does what it needs to do. It doesn't overcomplicate things, and we're able to control it via SmartThings and IFT, which therefore means any other device you have connected to IFT. So I would definitely recommend this. If you're in the market to control your ceiling fan through any of these systems and you don't want to spend the $400, $500, $600 on an actual smart ceiling fan that doesn't actually work that well, this is what you should go with for sure. Just make sure your ceiling fan uses a remote to control it, and not to mention it will be supporting a lot of other devices coming soon, hopefully. So that's all I have for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you're subscribed and the notification bell is rung so you don't miss out on any future videos. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one, and remember, stay smart.